All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this week for Tipple's Brews and Wines virtual wine tasting every Tuesday with Elizabeth and Jeff Dre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. Did I say Gainesville twice?
Nope.
Good. All right. Moving on. This week, we are going to be enjoying, coming back. You guys have been really stuck with me. And actually, I've been really happy about all the
Unusual?
about how well received and the follow-up. Not like it's one thing to say, hey, that was a cool wine, Jeff. It's another thing that followed up with sales. Like we sold out of last week's wine.
People
and who
must
would
have really liked it. That's
the thing.
awesome.
Not only did we sell out of the Schiava of all things,
Right.
that's the great, right? We sold out of it, and we have 2 case special orders for this week.
That's fantastic.
So that's exciting.
So you picked well.
It makes me feel good about me.
That's good. Can we turn off David and Rachel's camera? I mean, we can. Right. I won't, but
college football talk at the end.
Yes. That's okay. Right. I was just like, it blinded me, but it's fine.
Not with science.
No.
So, all right. So this week, you guys are being rewarded for, hanging with me with some unusual grapes. We're running back to Napa, California. All right. Napa Valley for what? Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh my gosh.
So unusual for Napa.
So this week we're going to enjoy like an easy winner, right? Black Stallion Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley. So if you have not already poured yourselves a glass, this is that wonderful time to liberate your beverage from your bottle. I gave mine about a 30-minute chill in the refrigerator because I like to begin the evening pouring it at cellar temperatures of around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's for you. And ahead of time, you're welcome.
Okay, what is because you said begin, and then obviously as we drink, it's warming up. What's like the warmest you would want to serve it at?
75.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't, especially like, I don't want a cab at 80 degrees. I really don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand if you're in Florida, you pour it and maybe you're talking, maybe you're even having an evening out on the patio or something, which you're a brave soul if you are right now. It's going to get there. So there is no wrong, but preference, I prefer it not to get above 75, which is going to come close,
So I have to tell you, I was away and the red hadn't chilled quite enough. So I was offered an ice cube. And I said to my friend, if my husband found out that I put an ice cube into red wine, I think he might divorce me.
Yeah. I would have to consider it.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if I was like, it was hot, so I put an ice cube in it?
Well, especially something nice. I mean, it depends on the wine. I could deal with it for certain wines that are something I wouldn't want to drink anyway. But if I want to drink it at all, no. So anyway. All right, take it in. Take it all in. All right, nice little sniff. While you're kind of taking a sniff and a sip, let's take a look at, let's go to talk about the food pairings from the first slide, please.
Okay.
And then we'll jump back and discuss amongst ourselves. All right. So here we are. Ratings, guys, got some nice ones. James Suckling 92, Willie Wong 91. They tend to get this year on year, bumping up within 1 point either direction, right? So excellent cluster of solid, really nice points. Food pairings, New York strip, pepper encrusted ahi tuna. I know you wish you had that right now. Balsamic mushrooms, braised beef with mushrooms. All these wonderful things. If you're going with something big and some really nice rich meats, you're not going to go wrong. But I try to get a little more creative instead of just writing beef.
Yeah.
So now let's jump back. We'll talk about it. This guy's all Cabernet Sauvignon, to the best of my knowledge, and I looked around. 14.5% alcohol. Age worthiness, we kind of talk about that on the way in each time, right? Is this wine age worthy? The answer to that is yes. All right. So we've got 14.5% alcohol. We've got higher tannins. Cabernet generally, if any well-grown Cabernet, and You're not going to get any out of Napa that are not at the very least well grown, if not exceptionally well grown. Higher tannins, and it's not entirely without acid. It's not an overripe wine either, right? So you've got some acidity. So you've got the alcohol, you've got the acidity, you've got tannins. This guy can age.
So age like 10 years?
10 to 15.
Okay.
Could bang it out. Yep.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, is this meant to be a 30 to 40? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would change it to a 30 to 40? Like what would you look for something that's like long range
I
age?
like your question there.
Oh, okay.
So wines that are even higher tannin,
Okay.
higher acid when young,
Mhm.
right? And so not enjoyable to drink young.
Okay.
So when you get to those wines,
Mhm.
really not meant to be consumed
Okay.
until they get 10 years on a minimum, because they're going to peak at 30. So that it makes the difference. This guy, it's a 2018. It's 3 years later. It's drinking great,
Mhm.
and it can hang out. So it's kind of that block of what you can do with a
Okay.
wine.
Do we, I mean, you taste almost everything that comes into the store. So
Mhm.
do we know before we put it on the shelf that it's 30 to 40 years?
Oh, when those happen,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And it doesn't stop people from drinking them,
Okay.
because it's not my job to do that. But
But you should tell them this
Right.
is something that's supposed to age.
I will tell them this. It's a very big wine.
Mhm.
It's really going to need to take a breath and be decanted. Age is going to improve it, that kind of thing. But look, it's just okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with drinking it then.
Mhm.
There's no, drink your wine, enjoy
Yeah.
it when you want to and how you want to. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to just educate. All right.
Julie said, okay. I wasn't sure if it was Julie or who said it, but
Mhm.
one of them said notes of caramel and vanilla.
Okay.
Brian said
Let's
that.
go. I'd go with
Oh.
definitely a nice like black cherry, and I could go notes with vanilla or even like creme brulee effect. So that's where
So
I'm
that's
going.
where
I
she's
think that's
getting
right
the
there, and
caramel.
right
Yeah.
adjacent to caramel.
Mhm.
All right. Nice combination of black cherry, black fruits, black currant.
Mhm.
Though it doesn't have a sweetness to it, which is nice. A nice baking spicy quality to it. I would go clove, maybe a little allspice thing going on. And
I'm getting that more in the nose.
I think as we go, because I'm beginning to smell, I'm smelling something I recognize as being a turn as it opens.
Okay.
A little more floral is coming, a little purpley quality. So I think because this guy has not had that long to take a breath,
Mhm.
as long as I would
No,
like.
we just opened it.
You're going to get more lavender. You're going to get a lavender quality,
Okay.
which is very common in Napa, and one of my favorite qualities that Napa imbues into Cabernet Sauvignon. I love that.
Is that because they grow lavender in the area, or?
They do grow lavender in the
Okay.
area, and who knows with what other complex
Okay.
issues, but it is not unusual. It's not in everyone,
Mhm.
but it's not unusual at all for Napa to give a lavender quality. And I would expect as we sip through that some of these kind of what was I saying, caramelized sugar notes may kind of meld into cocoa.
Okay.
But I'm going to say right out of the chute. So we're drinking this guy right out of the bottle. It's only been open 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to change for us, but it is enjoyable right from the start, which is one of those things with this wine is, all right, it's enjoyable right away, and we'll get to enjoy it as it opens. And you can age it, say 10, 15 years. That's a great, flexible, wonderful wine. I like that. And it makes it very friendly in every aspect of how you would enjoy it, I think was my point.
It just went down the wrong way a little bit.
So yeah, I would say getting a little more cocoa on it as it's opened.
Mine is very much being influenced by the cheese that I'm eating. So
I get
I
that.
have to wait for it to.
I bet it tastes nice together.
It tastes fantastic together.
All right, so that's me. I've just been talking a lot about what I'm getting out of this guy. What do you, and we've gotten some, like we got some same notes, caramel, vanilla. Any other thoughts on the flavors you're getting? You guys thinking, anyone getting some of the cocoa if you've had a little bit open a little longer? Maybe some lavender notes, a little floral component.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have anything else to really add as much as it was like we opened it because as a all cab, we actually opened it at like 7, and I just kind of had it sitting aside, and I had it chilling the last about 30 minutes. But we poured ourselves like a little bit at the beginning so we could see, okay, how does it taste now? Finger in the page, let's have it again in an hour. And when we were talking about what we were cooking, I was like, right down the list of the exact same stuff. Like I was just like, yeah, dark, black cherries, a lot of dark fruit, a little bit of cocoa, a little bit of like allspice and stuff like that. Like it was just like,
Nice.
and then, a little bit of vanilla, not heavy, but a little bit. And then I think on the nose, a little pepper, but mostly just on the nose, like in the glass more so than anything.
I will say it was definitely very tightly wound when we first opened it, but it is nice now.
Right? Yeah. It when it takes a breath, and it doesn't take it long, it's a very rewarding cab with plenty of tannin and plenty of classic Napa structure. And that's what I love about it is it's one of those where it's like, okay, here you go. You don't have to decant it. You don't have to drop $150. You can buy this very reasonably priced wine, and it's a great representation. Obviously, you can move on from here with even tighter and bigger in different ways, but this really is kind of Napa in a glass. I think it encapsulates it really nicely, because at the sub 30 price point, it still has enough tannin to give you the muscle of that says Napa. And some of the other ones that you'll drink won't have that muscle. And I love that part about what they create with these wines. So
Yeah, and it's a pretty long ager for sub 30 then too, right? I mean, 10 to 15 years.
It
Yeah,
is.
I think it's changing pretty quick. I mean, when I first took I was the one who wrote that about the caramel and vanilla. The first couple sips were like super sweet, but now the berries are kind of overpowering that. I'm kind of losing it. But from the beginning, I got the sweetness and the vanilla type flavors.
It's interesting. So, from what you were tasting is you were getting that initial flavor you were getting was from the barrel. So that's where that comes from. And so that barrel effect was dominating. And then after it took a breath, the fruit woke up and really took back over with the experience, which is a great sign of quality fruit too.
And then for me, I mean, like Brian, I could taste the sweetness initially, but now it's just like pure spice. So it's kind of hitting my tongue, very spicy.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it's and let me throw this out there for you. When you get that you start going peppery a little bit, and it is a related flavor, so totally call it pepper, right? But also cedar, and cedar tends to be more of the description that's used in Napa. Is a cedar quality to the wine. And what's fascinating, like I always said, okay, cedar, pepper, gosh, they seem awfully a little hard to discern. We have a sake at the store that is cedar barrel aged, and it is peppery as heck. And that convinced me. I was like, it's okay. Like, yes, they are a related flavor.
That's interesting.
There was no reason to like worry about where you land on that, because
I never would have thought they were related, actually. I mean,
no, I agree. I wasn't coming in my mind from that point of view.
Yeah.
And then someone was talking about it, and then I was also tasting this cedar barrel aged sake, and it was this white black pepper beastie.
Yeah.
And I think, well, there it is. There it is absolutely related. So.
Well, then Chris said chicory and Robin said cedar.
Oh, I like the chicory call. Yeah.
Hey, we have to stop complimenting Brian's taste buds so much, because now he's like, I'm a wine master. But that's what they're called. But also,
the student has become the teacher.
There you go.
Namaste.
This is amazing. But I had a follow-up question to Lisa's comment about sweet at first, but then peppery, because she normally agrees with Brian and kind of like what kind of wines they like. They usually stick to the whites, a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
So did you like it at first and now you don't like it as much, Lisa, because it's gotten peppery? Like, I just am wondering, like, because Brian still likes it because I've been forcing him to drink red wine for the last 18 months for me. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. So like I liked it initially, but as soon as it got peppery, it started irritating my tongue.
yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with
I
that
have a
too.
very sensitive tongue. So then I went back to, sorry, I went back to my sweet stuff. So
I mean,
But you know what,
it's not undrinkable, but I would just prefer to have that vanilla-y caramel taste, sweetness
Right.
the whole time. You know?
But I
Right.
think that's good for people like me who, if I was busy making the charcuterie when it first opened, so I didn't ever get that sweet. Like, it had been open for a little bit longer by the time I had my first sip. And he's like, well, it was sweet. I was like, well, now it's just delicious. So I don't know what you were tasting.
yeah,
So
yeah.
for-
So for me, it's like as soon as it came out of the fridge and opened up and aerated a little bit, I'd be good with it for like a glass. But then like the second glass, I would be like, okay, no, I wouldn't do that unless it was chilled probably or something. I don't know.
That's
Well,
so
and there was
so-
definitely that disparity where you have the people that really love big, dry, beastie wines,
Mhm.
you know, we could get
Which is what you're looking for in a Cabernet Sauvignon.
absolutely like that is this is cab, right?
Mhm.
And but not, you know, that's why there's so many options in the wine world, which I love, that we can jump around and try so many different things. You know, because like last week was a wine that Brian was all about. And, you know, this week, this is one that Julie's all about, you know, and so that's wine tells a story, gives a sense of place, and there is no right wine.
No, it's just
Yeah.
what you like.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about this wine. We'll jump over to some slides.
Beautiful.
So this is Cabernet Sauvignon. All right, so good old Cabernet comes from southwestern France. It is kind of a relatively new entry into the wine grape world because it didn't come around until the 1600s.
It seems like a really long time, but okay.
But you know, when you're talking about hundreds of years, not thousands of years,
Okay.
it's a relatively new entry.
Mhm.
And so Cabernet Sauvignon is the #1 dominant grape in the world. It's the most grown grape in the world, but it's one of the youngest. And whereas there are several grapes that are here because of choice, like you know, which makes sense. Why would you're going to crossbreed grapes to create something new? Pinotage is a great example of that, right? This was chance. Someone in southwestern France in the 1600s planted the Cabernet Franc too close to the Sauvignon Blanc, and they crossbred and created what is now the favorite grape in the world.
That's amazing.
So it came by chance,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of wonderful.
I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
Chris and Robin have a question.
Okay.
Chris
The
has a question.
popularity, the popularity does, or in terms of just dominance of grapes grown, does it have to do with the hardiness of the grape? Like, everyone can grow it, and that's one of the reasons it's really like as widespread as it is.
Yes, that is one of the reasons. And we will get, actually, that was, you just, I'm 2 bullet points down.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's a combination. You're right. It is one of the grapes that is very rewarding for the wine grower because it's a little easier to grow than other wine grapes, right? Not all of them, but several others, especially Pinot and Noir. And it also provides such a great kind of almost universally pleasing flavor structure. So it turned out to be just the sweet spot. So here's my next line. Easier to grow than Pinot and Cab Franc, has thicker skins, increased tannins allow the wines to age better because and that comes with thicker skin. Thick, durable skin helps to prevent infection and rot, resist pets, and endure dry spells in weather.
It resists
without-
pets.
Pets.
Doesn't like pets.
It, you know what? Don't pet the grapes. They're busy making juice. All
So
right?
it resists pests. That's
It
interesting.
does. Well, it makes it just that much harder for everything to get in
Mhm.
there. So it is a hardier grape, easier to grow, and almost universally loved flavor profile. So it all worked out quite wonderfully. let's go on to the next slide. This one, I'm taking my notes.
So wait, hold on, let's go back a moment. So where did they grow them too close together? Where was that?
Southwestern France.
Okay.
Mhm. So they don't
That
have a
makes sense.
precise
France.
location, but yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so flavors on these guys. So we've got, black currant, black cherry, cedar, baking spices, check. Graphite. Now, I'm not getting as much graphite on this one yet. I'm not sure if it will show up, and it may not, which is fine. But I will say with some of the mountain grown, the really lean grapes that are under a lot of stress, and in some very highly mineral substrate, the soil, I do love a nice graphite quality. It's really common in the Bordeaux version of grapes of Cabernet Sauvignon, and you get that from some of the really nice areas.
It's not as common in Napa.
It is kind of a 70-30% being the ones that have it. Like a lot of them will go much more toward you'll be tasting a lot more of the barrel, a lot more of the spices and vanilla and that type of thing. It's more of a Bordeaux, an old world throwback to leave the ability, go more neutrally oaked, so it doesn't take away the mineral content, that graphite quality.
So when they oak it, and I'm sorry if you said this already, so when they're putting it in the barrel, are they putting it in American oak then, because it's giving more of its flavor, or are we in?
I did not find the breakdown.
Okay.
Some wineries put it out there, some of them do not. From me tasting it, I would, my guess would be a combination of new American and some neutral French.
Okay.
Because we're getting
some,
right, and the very sweet notes, the toffee notes that you can get
at the beginning
have kind of backed off. So there's got to be some new oak in there.
Okay.
Right. And working with the combination is a very important part of what they do during the winemaking process. And it's very much dependent on the style decided upon by the winemaker. So it really does change the wine.
Okay.
So here we are. We have dry. Yes, it's dry wine. Full bodied. Yes. It's a mouthful. It's weighty.
Right.
It's not watery. Medium to high tannins. Check. Medium acidity. Absolutely. We're like a medium, right at medium. I'd probably take that bar down a little bit on this one to like right in the middle, but I wouldn't go below. It doesn't taste like dried fruit to me.
No.
And then the ABV, we're on the,
we're on the
higher
high
side-ish. So.
And then Chris had the same question that I did. So glad I could ask that for you, Chris.
Yeah, I love to include the barrel, and I do when I can. The info is not always.
I was just thinking, since we could taste the vanilla at the beginning, I mean, normally when we have a French oak, it doesn't give us that.
Right.
So yeah.
Exactly.
But it wasn't overwhelming. So yeah.
Yeah, if it was, and there are cabs that are just loaded with vanilla and
so
coffee.
That's gonna be all new oak.
And that's probably all
American
oak, largely new, that kind of a thing. But this guy, they've got to be working on the two, because it is not just a vanilla bomb here, and that becomes almost like a vanilla cherry treat kind of thing, and with the way it can be.
Okay, so that must be more unusual, because like usually when I have a cab, I don't feel like I get a vanilla cherry treat.
They do that with not Napa. They do that outside of Napa with some very low priced cab.
Okay.
Probably because they had some not very good tasting fruit. And
so they want the barrel to influence it more too.
Right, exactly. And I'm not saying that the only good cab comes out of Napa. It comes from all over the place. But there's plenty of,
a lot of good
hastily grown overripe cab out there in order. I mean, if you're going to make a bottle that retails at $8, you got to make a lot of accommodations.
Makes sense. Would you like for me to go forward?
Yes, please. All right, so here we have our grape anatome. So we said it already in the description, thick skins on this guy. So a lot of what you're getting out of here is really the dominant force is out in the, in the skin and in the peripheral zone on the just below the skin. It has a nice presence of acidity. Not that I would say this is a tart wine, but has a fresh fruit to
Sure.
it,
Mhm.
even though it's dark and nice. So,
Mhm.
you know, that's obviously the secondary, but not absent. Mhm. Sorry, everybody, I had to enjoy it for a minute.
Since I'm on my second glass and you're still just like
Yeah.
sipping.
Right. Well, yeah. And I really
Well, you have
encourage
to talk a
everyone.
lot.
Right, I do. I really encourage everyone. Can we jump back real quick to the camera?
Yes.
Because I never know. All right. So, like, you don't have to do it every sip. Like, don't make it like, oh, it's such a big deal. But if you're not doing so, I encourage you to chew the wine every once in a while.
What do you mean by chew the
So
wine?
you really take it in and slosh it all around the palate 3-4 times before you swallow that sip. Really let it coat everything.
Well, I feel the tannins a lot more
Right.
when I do that.
Mhm. I'm getting much more cocoa,
Mhm.
and my teeth aren't doing the chewing. It's more my tongue going up and
Right.
down and swirling and
And I
swirling
get
it
the
around.
peppery more that way too.
It really lets you pull a lot more out of it.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying do it with every sip, but really, you know, with your wines, do that and really pull everything out once in a
Mhm.
while to enjoy what's happening. And it does take that extra minute, extra few seconds. I think it's very rewarding.
Mhm.
It is.
You're getting more of the flavor profile when you do that,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's just on your palate and gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Like, and you're thinking, well, that's delicious. I got what I did, you know.
Right.
But because it's a beverage, you know,
Mhm.
most people I sip it down, it's gone. We
Right.
don't think about
You're not-
really
yeah.
running it around. Give it a minute.
Okay.
You know, give it 5 seconds on your palate,
Right.
and you really get to pull a lot more out of it, and and then go back to slugging it down because it's just delicious. Whichever you want to do.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not overly hung up on things, but I want everyone to really love these things, and I love wine. So I love a wine.
Would you like for me to share?
Yes, please.
some? Okay.
Just got banned from Italy. All right, so
Yeah.
where are we? All right, so
Hold on. I have to
this
move
is-
where the people are because we were covering California. So
we
there you
want
go.
to be where the people are.
Yeah.
All right, right now it was showing us Chris. So
Yeah, Chris was sitting in Napa.
all right, so within the growing latitude
Mhm.
in the northern hemisphere, we're just below midway point, right?
So it's
right where it
it's
makes sense.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
It's in the perfect area.
It's Napa for a reason,
Mhm.
right? Napa is a beautiful, beautiful growing region for making wine. So here's the United States. All right, so we are in Napa, which is way up here at the top in the north coast of California. In the second, and I know some of you heard this a long time ago, but just for other people, Napa Valley is the second AVA within the United States. AVA, American
Okay.
Viticultural Area.
Hold on a second. So we're going to quiz everybody. Where was the first one? For those of you who've been with us, put it in the chat box.
That's right.
Where was the first one? Anybody remember?
Yeah. So
Or just give it a moment.
designated American viticultural areas, Napa Valley was number 2. There
The
we
Snyder's
go.
won, Missouri.
That's right.
was the first
Missouri
one.
had the first one. Augusta, Missouri in 1980, Napa in 81. So they make sweet white mostly there.
Mhm.
So in Missouri, I don't have any Missouri wines that are distributed that I have seen here. So that's really fascinating to me that they were able to get that designation. But who knows what can come of it? There's
There
a
you
lot
go.
going on. And Texas is making some nice wine.
I'm actually really shocked that California was 81. I mean, I know there was a lot of like bad wines being made in the 70s, but when was the whole battle with France? That was in the 70s,
That was in the 70s. Yeah.
So I'm surprised they didn't do it right after that.
Yeah. Think about why, like these French guys, and we didn't even have an American Viticultural Association designations yet,
Yeah.
right? And they came and they beat them. So no wonder that they weren't giving the respect, because we didn't have the kind of
Reputation?
well, we didn't have the designations and the procedures in place to really kind of define what we were
Mhm.
making. It was just make what you want. And these guys in Napa decided to make exceptional wine, and no one had been doing that. So
They really raised the bar for the entire US then when they
for
did
the
that.
world.
Oh, for the world.
For the world. I'm gonna time and I've said this a few times over there. When I do the research time and again, not so much in this group tonight, but they were making wine in their family for hundreds of years. And then they sent someone to enology school in 1977, in
So,
1976.
After the US.
After the US kind of showed them, wait a minute,
Mhm.
maybe you can get paid more for your grapes if you really don't just make giggle juice,
Mhm.
like make something that is beautiful and you can charge more for. And I've seen it in South Africa and in Italy and Spain and time again. It inspired the world. It was amazing. It changed the world of wine.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And honestly, I think that's part of the legacy that should be talked about more from the Judgment of Paris,
Mhm.
when we set up that crazy competition and Napa beat France. It changed the world of wine. Anyway, it's amazing.
No, I think that's really cool.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really do. All right, so let's go to the next slide, please.
Okay.
All right, so we're in California. We are in the purple zone in the North Coast, way up here. And zoom on in. So here's a little closer version. We got the North Coast. We have had some Lake County wines, Sonoma. Here's Napa here. And we're within these guys. Don't worry, we'll get closer. Boom. All right. So within Napa, and you can see, I like this cutout here. You can see where they are in California and next to San Fran. So within Napa, the Oak Knoll district is where the winery is.
Okay.
Though the wine we are drinking tonight, rather, is sourced throughout Napa.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a blend of.
it's a blend of different
cabs,
regions, right?
Okay.
Where they're getting some grapes that are grown way up on the top of the mountain
Mhm.
in order to get some of that grip and some richness from the valley, and they're blending it all together.
Do they own all of those, or they're sourcing it from other?
They're sourcing it
Okay.
from people.
Mhm.
But remember when I described it as like this wonderful taste of Napa, there's kind of a good reason for that.
Sure. Yeah, if you're getting from
Mhm.
a lot of different regions.
Right.
Mhm.
They're blending it together, and I think doing it very well. So let's see. So Napa, best known for Cabernet Sauvignon on the red side, even though there are up to 12 types of red grapes grown there.
Oh,
Yep. And best known for Chardonnay on the white. But there are another up to 5 different whites that are regularly grown in there. And honestly, that's what they say. A lot of these guys are growing little side projects. I mean, there
okay.
could be a lot more going on.
Sure.
But anyway, in a great variety of different terroir in there. You've got the warm valley floor,
Mhm.
and then you have the breezy hillsides, and then you have the very top of the mountains, which are rocky and brutal and dry
Mhm.
and also breezy. But then every night, what they do have in common is it cools down very quickly. So they get really hot days, and then they've got fog coming from the bottom here. You've got the San Francisco Bay. You get fog cooling all of this off. This is where the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir are grown. They need the most coolness. It gets hotter as you travel north through Napa.
Because it's farther away from the water.
Right.
Okay.
And then because Sonoma is over here, but the coolness from the ocean does still have a significant effect. It pours over Sonoma, runs across, and it still makes it over again. This,
Wow.
into here. Not as
You know,
much.
You
But
look at the map and it seems pretty far inland, that to still get that fog is kind of
man, the
impressive.
Pacific is a powerful,
Mhm,
powerful
yeah.
thing.
The Pacific
So-
is so much colder than the Atlantic.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Especially up there.
Well, especially up there, yeah.
So they've been growing grapes here. So like it was designated as an AVA in 1981.
Okay.
Um,
Wasn't that like 7 years ago? Because it seems like,
right.
Right.
Honestly,
okay, so not 40 years ago.
I was.
So we can talk about your
Jim-
age later.
You realize I would be an old vine. I would be old.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna call you from now
That
on.
old vine.
The old vine.
Old vine.
Yes.
That's me.
Mhm.
I'm an old human too. Anyway, first planted in the 1850s.
Oh gosh.
Original plantings were of which country's grapes?
Okay, so it's not France?
We've talked about this, and just throwing it out there to see if anyone remembers. I don't
Okay,
mind
I'm
reminding.
failing this quiz.
Okay.
I'm failing
Does anyone
this quiz.
remember what I said the original plantings were? Because they were from the missionaries that came over and were growing grapes in California. This is before prohibition, which messed everything up. Anyone remember?
Italy.
Yes, they were. It was originally Italian dominated,
Okay.
where the grapes were Italian dominated. The only wineries that were able to make it through, and they were using Italian grapes for this
The ones for the
prohibition,
churches.
they were making wine for sacrament,
Mhm.
right?
So for the Catholic and
Mhm.
Episcopalian churches, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
So, but then when it came back, when it was over and things were kind of struggling, they were making a lot of cheap wine. They weren't sure where they were going. Nobody had any grand plans.
Mhm.
What changed everything was the men coming back from World War II, and they'd been drinking these great wines over in
Oh,
Europe.
right. Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it changed. Like
No, that makes
just
sense.
anyway, there's a whole thing. We could go on and on. Hopefully that was intriguing. you know,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I think your grandfather talked about that when he was over there, like drinking a lot of those wines. Well, he just did like a wine tour through Europe, and that was Jeff's
Well,
grandfather just had fun. He showed
one-
up after the war was won.
One grandfather got to go to the victory tour.
Yeah,
The other grandfather had a
Well,
difficult
he-
time.
yeah,
He was in the
he was in the midst
Asian-
of it.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but the other one just had fun
Yes.
drinking
yes.
through Europe.
Yeah.
There you go.
He had a charm parts of his life for
He
sure.
did.
Okay.
Next.
Yes. God bless you, Warren. All right. So Napa Valley, let's take a look. It's ugly, like most places that grow grapes. I mean, so I love this picture though, because you can see the whole valley. Look, you can
Mhm.
see the mountains on the far side as well. And we're obviously starting up high
Right.
on mountains on this side, and there's the valley floor.
Well, yeah, because you're looking at all this, like you're on a hill, but you're
Right.
looking at the flat part, and then there are mountains
Right.
over there.
And you can
Mhm.
see the haze, so.
Yeah.
And you love your autumn vine shot. So I thought, well, let's look at Napa in the autumn.
It's so funny because I mentioned it one time, and now Jeff's like, I have to put an autumn shot in here.
Well, I listen
Thank you.
sometimes,
Mhm.
but when I listen hard.
There you go.
But anyway, some beautiful shots, and you can see the fog, like all that.
So, okay, when you get to this point though, when there are autumn leaves on there, like
Mhm.
when is the harvest?
This is after harvest.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they harvest when it's still summer?
At the very end, like like they
Like
start turning right
September?
after September usually.
Okay,
Yeah, September is when the harvest comes in.
okay.
And actually, by the way, I want to go up.
Okay, I will say something though. When I've been to California in July, it is much colder than California in October. Well, San Francisco at least.
Right.
Because I went to San Francisco in July with you, and we
Mhm.
had to buy, we went dressed for Florida July. It was not Florida July. We bought sweatshirts and sweaters and stuff while we were there.
It was glorious.
Yes. And then my cousin got married in San Francisco in October, and it was, I mean, I had to buy shorts, and it wasn't cool. It was
Well, there's
hot.
it's who is that? It's the author. Mark Twain. Isn't it Mark Twain's quote? The coldest winter I ever spent was the summer in San Francisco.
I've heard that quote. I don't know if it's Mark Twain or not.
I think it's
but-
Twain. You
Is
guys
it?
can tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't
I
know
was
if it's
just-
Twain, but I know we were in San Francisco in June of 2019, and I had to buy my son a sweatshirt.
Yes, that's
Yeah, yeah.
how we were when we were in July. It was cold, but when I was there for a wedding in October, it was hot.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We went,
Yeah.
it was like our big vacation to go see my sister in California. We flew into San Francisco, and we are just gonna spend one night before going up to Tahoe and stuff. And we were freezing.
Yes,
I'll tell you that
that's how we were in July.
It
that
was the 50s.
that would
Mhm.
make amazing grapes because you could finish strong. Like they could slowly ripen, picking
Mm-hmm.
up character all summer. but not over ripen. And then right as the temperature spikes, they get the extra sugar,
Then they pull
and you
them
pull
all
them
off the
off.
vine. Okay.
So that makes total sense. I wanted to go up and show that the picture that I originally had way up here of the Cabernet Sauvignon, that is, all right, never mind, I changed it. All right. There was one that I was considering using, but I chose not to. That was from Napa, and it was
Okay.
Cab from Napa, and it had like a long row on it, but
Okay.
it didn't give as good a picture of the grape. So
Let's see. Hold on. We have a chat. It was Mark Twain who said that quote.
Ooh, I
Good for
sound
you.
brilliant right now. That's why I'm sipping slowly,
Yeah,
because
just
later
like-
on I'll sound like a moron.
Would you like
Mm.
to go to the next slide?
Yes, please. All right, so Black Stallion Estate Winery.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Mhm.
It's absolutely gorgeous. So this winery is owned by a family, but the family is the owner. They're the owners of 15 wineries.
Mm.
Okay, so but they do have a really cool like backstory.
Mhm.
All right, so purchased in 2010 by the Indelicado family. All right. They're the owners of Delicato Wines, and they own, like I said, 15 different wine brands. So no small group,
Mhm.
but completely dedicated to great quality wine production. The winemaking history for them began in Manteca, California, which is 50 miles due east of San Fran,
Okay.
with Gaspar and Caterina Indelico after they immigrated from Sicily.
Okay.
So in 1924, they bought some land
Indelicado.
in Delicato.
Yeah.
Yes. They bought some land. Did I say something wrong?
You said Indelico.
Okay. Yeah, because it's Delicato, and then I
Mhm.
took the wrong parts off. Anyway,
I just wanted to give them proper. yeah.
good credit. I mean, they're making great stuff, and multiple. I mean, there's a lot of their stuff that they make that's great. So anyway, they came in from Sicily.
Mhm.
Gaspar had a family history of growing grapes. So and so when they found a place that reminded them of Sicily, they bought it and started from there. But then it turned into, quite the, we've talked about a couple of family businesses
Mhm.
where they started with one and they grew to two, especially in Spain.
Mhm.
And now they have like some of those guys, like the Juan Hill guys, they have 30, different vineyards.
Right.
We just did the
I am not going to.
Tarima Hill Monastrell.
Mhm.
All right, that was a group that was the same thing, but they started with one family vineyard, and
Mhm.
now they own them throughout Spain. Okay, so good to go.
Right.
good for you guys. That's awesome. Let's see. The name of the winery is honor of the equestrian center that was there before. That building was an equestrian center.
It's so funny because when I saw that, I was like, I could see like horse pastures around it. It kind of reminded me of it. So that's interesting.
Right. So it
Yeah.
opened in 1963. It was called the
Mhm.
Silverado Western Center.
Okay.
And it was an equestrian center.
Mhm.
And it did become a winery before they bought it in 2010. A pair of brothers had a winery going there named the Black Stallion.
Okay.
And then
So they kept the name.
They kept the name when they
Mhm.
purchased it in 2010
Okay.
and continue to make great wine there today.
But the family started in California in 1924.
Right.
So it's been almost 100 years.
Yeah.
And that family is still
That family is still
doing
running.
wines.
The Indelicado
Mhm.
family is still running Delicato Wines
Okay.
with all these 15 wineries.
That's
and,
impressive.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely all about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a vanity project. This is what they do.
Yeah. They love making good wine.
Mhm.
Would you like me to go next?
Yes, please. It is the video.
Oh, okay. So we have a video and Zoom has changed, so we should not have to share the sound anymore. It should just be automatic. So hopefully you can hear this.
Fingers crossed.
At the gateway to Napa Valley's Silverado Trail stands ground once home to the historic Silverado Equestrian Center. Boldness, unfaltering strength define the winning horses that once competed here. Boldness that defines our pursuit of world-class wine. Today, born in what was once a stable, Behind its thick stone walls, French oak and cherry-rich Cabernets scent the air. The perfume of powerful reds ripens slowly. From its patchwork floor to its fir-crowned mountain peaks, precious grapes that yield these wines articulate the greatness of the land that bore them. At Black Stallion Estate, we seek transcendence in chasing a great wine at its peak, and we delight in sharing these experiences. For all those who venture up the Silverado Trail, an unforgettable welcome waits.
There we go. And then Robin asked, did you say French oak? I don't know, because Winston was making noise during the very
Yeah.
beginning of that.
Mhm.
Sorry.
And that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it did look a
mixed because
combination.
it looked
I
like
agree.
different colors, so maybe it was.
Which makes me feel good about my answer.
Mhm.
So I like it.
Okay,
Hi, buddy.
hold on. We always have a problem going to the next one. Doesn't want to. The video wants to like hold on to it for some reason.
Right.
My dog has decided that it's time for him to eat, which he's kind of right, but he's
You
got to
can
wait a moment.
But yeah, distractions ensue. All right. So points. All right. This is generally getting 90 plus points year on year on year. So calling it an outstanding wine of superior character and style. It could be a very good wine with special qualities. Like, yeah, damn, that was good wine. It could be solid, and once again, I only point that out not to in any way detract from the wine we're discussing, but just to say, if I were to drink an 84, I would drink an 84, if it was what I wanted to drink, then there's not going to be anything wrong with that. And 95 to 100 classic, like, oh my gosh, you know what? I want to drink this before I die, right on my deathbed, that kind of a thing. Of course, you're probably not going to taste very much then, but so thoughts, everybody?
So Chris is 93, Robin is 92. And then we've got our group. I don't know which goes with which, but Brenda, John, and Laura, 92, 94, 95. Dr. Fricker, 93. Larkin Tucker will go with a 92, which has been their highest.
Nice.
Oh,
very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it would be a pleaser.
Mhm.
It's a great wine.
So I'm waiting to see. Let's see. I'll just wait a moment because I know there are more people. Kiwi says a 93. Cheryl, 93.
When did Kiwi get here?
Kiwi got here about 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
Maybe.
so
Well,
happy.
that's when I noticed it. So Jerry, 93.
Nice.
And I'm saying just Jerry because I didn't see Harriet earlier, but I'm not looking at the camera now.
Let's
so
take a look. What do we have?
Hold on. Oh, they're both there now. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I'll wait just a moment. I think we have a few people that have it. I would have said 93.
93?
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
Well, I'm really happy. I mean,
Mhm.
I brought this one in as, kind of a soft pitch,
Mhm.
where it's like, I knew everyone was going to love it, but it always makes me happy when
Yeah.
everyone, agrees with it. It's a delicious,
Well,
well-made cab, great pricing for what it offers.
Mhm.
It's a winner. It just
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Wait, we have a couple more scores that came in, one with an explanation. So we've got 92, 92.5. Julie says a million. Just kidding, 93, right in my happy zone. And Brian says 97 if it tasted right when we opened it, and now a 92. Okay.
All right.
I always love when Brian likes something, he's like way up there.
You know what?
So he wants it just open. So he needs several bottles. So he can, okay, open this one, pour a glass, open the
Right.
next one, pour a glass. Oh yeah.
Right. No, we can get Brian hooked up with some big oaky
There we go.
American oak reds. The other thing is, honestly,
Okay, and then we're flip-flopped, Brian. They like it better now than
Oh,
they
right.
did when it was first opened, Chris and
Yeah.
Robin. Yeah, that doesn't surprise
me
me.
too. As
Mhm.
well, but
Yeah.
really pretty, really nice. I'm glad you guys all liked it. Yeah, I'd call it an easy. Honestly, taking into account, how I talked about how there's layers of putting it in there where you judge it versus other wines. if I were to judge it versus other Napa cabs in this price point,
Mhm.
93.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so good for the price.
Mhm.
It really is an exceptional value.
Yeah.
So it's so choice.
Are you trying to be like hip, like
Well, no, that was just Ferris Bueller.
choice?
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
it's that.
Okay,
He was
I'll
talking
have to
about the
watch
car.
it again. Oh, the car. I do remember that.
Right.
Okay.
So
All right.
anyway, all right. So let's give credit where credit's due. All my sources.
Oh, do you want to see if there are any last thoughts before we move on to that? Because after sources is revealing the next.
Or we
week,
could do
right?
sources and then last thoughts.
Okay,
I don't care, whichever way you want to go.
that's
It's good
fine.
with
I
me.
will share and then not share and then share again.
All right, no, let's do last thoughts.
Okay, all right, hold
We'll
on.
do last thoughts, then I'll do sources in the next review.
By the way, Julie said that she likes it better now too. So
Oh, good.
yeah.
All right. All right. So most people liked it as it opened.
No, I don't think, I think most people like it now.
That because as it opened and when it opened.
Oh,
So,
okay. I
sorry.
thought you meant when you opened the bottle.
Oh no. As the
As
wine
the wine
opened. Sorry,
opened.
not as the
Okay.
bottle opened.
A few
Now I'm proud I drank it so fast.
Yeah, I'm almost done with my second glass. So
I am super proud of myself right now, by the way.
I am super proud of myself for not slurring, by the way.
Yeah, are
I'm
you?
very proud of myself for
Are
that.
you feeling it?
I mean, I'm at the bottom of my second glass. The cheese has helped a lot.
Well, you're welcome.
Because we don't normally eat with it. So normally it's
Mhm.
affecting me more. So
No, I feel like I want to keep
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, Linda, we ate with it," and then they're not here.
we'll just have to like send them a text or something.
That's right. So, all right.
Okay. So we'll go ahead to
Let's
sources.
give credit where credit's due to my very helpful sources. Obviously, always Wine
Always Wine
Folly. You
Folly.
know what? Applause. Those guys are badass. 750 Wikipedia. The Orem Vineyards.
The Orem
I got a lot of really great info, even though it's actually a winery.
Theorem Vineyard.
Theorem Vineyards. It's got to be Theorem, right?
Looks like it.
Theorem Vineyards. Okay.
The Orem.
I was really, really busy at the end of the day today. Theorem Vineyards had wonderful information about the Cabernet Sauvignon grape. And you know what? I don't think I can get their wine, unfortunately, but
Oh, that's a shame.
Black Stallion Winery makes total sense. Thanks, guys. And the Affinity Creative Group made that video for Black Stallion.
Okay.
And they took separate credit on like it wasn't given like they were paid. I don't know if they just did it as a thing, but so they were listing themselves as the source on so there you go. You guys made a great video. Thank you. All right, so next week
I'm thinking we're going either unusual or white. Those are my guesses. Either unusual or white. We're not going to do like a comfort thing again. That's my guess.
That's your guess.
Mhm.
Well, you know I love to zig when you think I'm going to zag.
Okay,
Just
are you
gotta
doing
keep
another
on your
tab?
toes.
Okay, ready?
All right, let's do it. We're staying in California.
Okay.
All right. We are staying in California, but we've never had this grape by itself before. So there is a new thing. So we've not done a Petite Syrah yet, I realized.
Okay.
And this guy's a wonderful one. So from the Ed Mead's Petite Syrah from Mendocino, California, is a great example of that. So the Petite Syrah, you have Syrah, Petite Syrah is more intense. Why? We'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
Even though it says little in the name, I know you know this one. I know. I know you know this one. But you told me not to give too much away, remember?
Yes, I did. I told you that.
So it says little in the name,
Right.
but the wine is anything but little.
It's a
Why?
big wine. Right.
We will find out.
Okay.
All right. So
Ooh,
ratings.
we'll do red chili next week.
Yes, we'll have. We can totally make that. So
Okay.
pairings: roast pork, barbecue meat, spicy chili, big, spicy and rich things are wonderful with it. It's because it's a big wine. Wine Enthusiast 93, Wine Spectator 91. Over the years together,
Okay.
it's not consistent.
It's
This isn't
not
actually.
consistent.
What I'm saying, it's not that they consistently get ratings
Mhm.
because this is really small production.
Oh, okay.
So Ed Mead's makes an amazing Zinfandel as well, which is larger production,
Okay.
but they only have like 253 cases of this made.
Okay.
And anyway, I seem to be one of the people in the state of Florida that brings it in.
Okay.
And I really want you guys to know that I found this awesomeness. So
Okay.
it's really great. Ed Mead's, it's a beautiful Petite Syrah. There's Zinfandel, by the way, everyone should try as well. But let's talk about this guy next week.
Okay. I like the giant E on the label.
Oh,
Big fan of
I
that.
didn't factor in the narcissism, but
Okay, so I will stop the share.
did you stop? Oh, yeah, stop the share. Okay, I thought you
Stop
stopped
the
the recording.
share,
Right.
not the
All right, so
recording.
let's have a toast to the Black Stallion. Thank you all for joining us and interacting with us.
Cheers, everyone.
Sláinte.